Okay. And in addition to the questions that are going to be raised today, as well as any questions that you may have after the webinar, those questions will be compiled into an FAQ document that will be posted onto the OSIT website later on. And for those that have questions after the meeting, you can send them to OSIT at highspeednv@gov.nv.gov. That address is also on our website as well. I understand our website is down right now, but it should be back up soon. And we're going to do our best to get our questions, get the answers back to you as soon as possible in a timely manner. The deadline, just as an FYI, the deadline for submitting questions regarding the RFP is October 19th. We've said this before, we'll reiterate it again. Please do not send any questions directly to Director Mitchell or me or to anybody at NV Energy. We have strict procurement procedures that we are obligated to follow, and we want to be as transparent as possible and not run afoul of these procedures. So when you send us your questions, those will get put together in a FAQ that will be posted. And like I said, the deadline is October 19th for your questions. So moving right along, with respect to the developing broadband access and availability in Nevada, OSIT and NV Energy have been working closely together for the last year to understand the long-haul electric transmission routes and where NV Energy has to deploy fiber to monitor the electric grid. The fiber could have potential dual use, and in that regard, we've been also talking with NV Energy about the use of their transmission towers on long-haul routes and distribution poles in populated areas and cities, and shared use or pole attachment agreements. So OSIT is pleased to be working with Mike Zaccanino and Jeff Bridger and a team of folks at NV Energy, and who are focused on both delivering reliable electric power and helping to bridge the broadband gaps in Nevada using NV Energy's assets. And on that note, I will pass this off to Mike, who's going to present some of the areas for potential partnership now. Mike.
Okay, thank you, Britta. Let's see, let me share my screen. I have a talking points document that Britta started to go over. And I could hand this out. If anybody needs a hard copy of this, we can get it to you after the meeting. But Britta already explained with the Infrastructure Investment Act, there's some opportunities for electric utilities to leverage their infrastructure, which is transmission towers and wood poles, underground conduit, duct banks, that sort of thing. As Britta said, NV Energy and OSIT have been working together to see how we could support the high-speed initiative here in the state of Nevada. And what this little paper is going to do is just kind of explain what our infrastructure looks like and some of the nuances around it and ways to partner with NV Energy, both on existing assets and on new or planned assets. And so first, NV Energy's needs, we are constantly as a utility expanding our facilities, telecommunication facilities, in addition to the electric facilities. And we put these facilities in for our electric reliability, security, and modernization of the grid. So we have quite a bit of fiber optics deployed within the state of Nevada already. Most of it's on our transmission structures, and we're in the power space on the transmission structures, and our fiber is usually embedded within the ground wire, which is the very top conductor on a transmission pole. And on distribution, we sometimes put ADSS in the power space, which is an all dielectric self-supporting cable, or sometimes we lash to our neutral and attach our fiber there. There's also comm space on these towers and poles that are available for what we call joint use. And I'll get into that a little bit as we go down. So that's just a snapshot on some of the assets. NV Energy, in addition to the towers and wood poles and underground duct banks, we do have substations that are located throughout the service territory. And we do have dark fiber where we do some dark fiber arrangements with other users. And so the main element that I wanted to talk about here was the ways to partner with NV Energy. And there's actually two. That was our legal trying to get in. There's actually two ways. We either have existing assets or we have newer planned. Existing assets set up in the company is called Joint Use Department. And it works already with a lot of the broadband service providers to attach to our vertical assets, which are the poles and towers. We also have underground duct banks existing where a provider could perhaps utilize one of those ducts that are not in use. So we've had this department set up for many years, and some of you may be familiar with it already and using some of the services from the joint use. The other opportunity, which I think is opens up a lot of opportunities for us and for distributors and service providers, is on new or planned assets. And this is where NV Energy may have a need to go from point A to point B, and a service provider has a need to go from point A to point B. And so we would work with you mutually to put up new fiber, new conductor, on the assets or in our underground conduit, and we would set up the IRUs for the dark fiber arrangements. So those are really the two mechanisms that we have to interface and to try to help service providers underneath this initiative. What I'm going to do now is talk a little bit about a mapping demo. And before we get to the mapping demo, I'm going to take you on this document to some facilities that we've already mapped out. I'm not sure if my connection says it's a little unstable, so just let me know if my screen locked up. But on the back of this diagram, we've mapped out several routes that we have interest in. This doesn't necessarily mean you have interest as service providers, but at least you could see where NV Energy has a significant interest in adding new facilities, either planned or under construction. And so that's what this document at the end has. And I'm going to take us on the demo on this first document right here. It's what we call, it's a 3D line from Robinson Summit up to Battle Mountain to another substation called Falcon. And so I'm going to stop sharing and then pull up my mapping screen. And where did it go? There it is. Okay. Britta, can you see my screen?
It's probably pulling up now. Now I can, yes.
Okay. Okay. So this is our mapping GIS system. We have a GIS department here at the company. And what we've done is, as you can see from the legend, we've taken OSIT's facilities, state facilities, and the RFPs, and we've mapped them out here. So you can see the schools and the libraries, the courts, NDOT facilities, correctional facilities, EATS, and so forth. You could also see our service territories as I zoom in here a little bit. We have different districts. So some of this is our districts. This is Tonopah District, Hawthorne District, Fallon, Lovelock, Battle Mountain. And I'm going to close the legend, and I'm going to take you into an example of that first transmission structure. And my system's running a little slow. If you just bear with me, I'll switch. I'll try to get a better service if this map's going to take too long to load.
There we go.
Is it starting? Okay. Mohan, are you on? I saw you on earlier. Can you hear me, Mohan?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, are you at my system's taken a really long time to load. I can maybe close it and call it up again and see if I get a better connection. But do you have
When Kevin's online too, I can have Kevin share the screen. Is that what you want to do?
yes, I'm trying to reload, but if you could have Kevin, and I'll direct you what facilities to go to, and I'm going to try to reload my map here.
Yeah, let me try to bring it up.
Thanks, Kevin.
Um, Can you see
Okay,
my
I
screen?
see your screen, Kevin. Yeah, I'm still having problems loading. Okay, so can you go to Ely? And there's a substation just outside of Ely. It's going to be called the Robinson Summit, and we're going to follow that up to Fallon, which is just outside of Battle Mountain. Yeah, yours is taking just as long as mine to load, but there it is. Yeah, maybe go ahead and close the legend unless you're going to utilize it.
Is your connection keeping up with mine?
I can see it.
Can you
Yeah,
hear
my
us,
screen
Mike?
looks like it's locked. What's that?
No, I said, can you hear us? So maybe you may want to turn off your video. Maybe that'll help improve the bandwidth a little bit. I meant your cameras.
Were you talking to me or Kevin Mohan?
I'm talking to you, Mike. So maybe that'll help improve the bandwidth on your workstation if you turn off your camera.
Okay, I just turned it off. Kevin, my screen is locked.
I mean, we are all seeing Gondar and Robinson Summit. I think he's waiting for your instructions to move forward.
Okay,
Is that what you're seeing?
no, I'm My screen is locked, so it could be just mine. What do you see, Britta?
I see, hold on, I see Robinson Summit on the left and I see Gonder on the right, and it's not really moving, but it's static. Now it's moving.
Okay, so Kevin, what I'm trying, if you could put on the layer so we could see the transmission structures and the distribution assets. Make sure they're turned on because they should be coming up, but there you go.
Is that all you need to see?
Yeah, for right now, make sure the distribution, so enable the service territories for both north and south. And then you'll see the Harry Allen, there's a 500 kV line running from Robinson Summit down to Apex in Las Vegas. It's about a 240 mile, 500 kV. There it is.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you do have I know we're not zoomed in yet, but you do have the distribution assets pulled up as well, Kevin?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and click on the green line coming out of Robinson Summit, and we're going to just look at the nomenclature. It'll say 345 line to Falcon to Robinson Summit. So let's follow that line up. Scroll up, and you might want to zoom out a little bit. It'll take us into Battle Mountain area. Okay, could you pick up the transmission line again? Just make sure we're on the same. Yep, that's it. Okay, so keep following it. Okay, and there's Falcon. So go ahead and zoom in and we'll show you, what a typical substation looks like. Okay, so there's the line terminating at the Falcon substation. Now go ahead back and zoom out. And let's just follow these other lines. Let's just pick one up so we could see like the blue lines. Let's see what voltage that line, that's a 69 kV line or 120. Okay. And then the green lines. So these are other lines originating in and out of this Falcon substation. You could see the transmission poles. So what I want to do now is scroll, I believe to the left should be Battle Mountain. So zoom out a little bit and let's find Battle Mountain.
It's going to be down here.
Yeah, there it is. Okay. And let's just go ahead and zoom in and we'll, what I want to show now, Kevin, is some of the distribution facilities. So keep zooming in. Yeah, so kind of just move the screen around so folks can get an idea. Now, let's go ahead and pick out a wood. We'll zoom out and find one of OSIT's entities that they're trying to connect to. I think there's a co-op here in Battle Mountain when I was on it earlier. Yeah, there it is. That was one of the entities identified. It had a co-op. I'm not quite sure what's there, but you could see the underground duct bank going into that facility. And then let's zoom in a little bit more, Kevin, and let's click on one of the wood poles so you could see the wood pole. So those are the poll numbers, and these are all identified as joint use polls. These are existing facilities. And so let's close that and let's just follow that distribution line a little bit so folks can get an understanding of, some of the routing here in town. So this is the level of detail we can go down to. You could see the dash line, which is the underground conduit feeds servicing all those buildings, and you can see the pole line overhead, that's the green line, and you could pick up pole numbers and that sort of thing once you get into a town. And again, since these are existing facilities, these would be under the joint use arrangement. And if you were interested, let's go ahead and zoom out and look at the map again, and we'll look at kind of zoom out. And we can get a feel of, you could see all of our transmission assets, how they're run. And maybe let's just scroll over towards the Reno area. And Kevin, the stars on here, I think those are all the substation locations. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so you could see our substation locations. When we're out at this level of zoom, you see most of the transmission lines. And then as you get in, let's just get into zoom in on Virginia Street in Reno. So it'll start getting real busy, but you can get a feel of where our assets are. And
we're only showing overhead on this map, so that's why
okay.
this area is kind of blank.
Okay, because the rest is underground. Yeah.
Mhm.
So is there an underground layer you could turn on real quick so we could see some of the duct banks, Kevin? And if not, that's okay. I mean, once we meet with you individually, we can get a little bit more granular in the detail here. Yeah, that's okay, Kevin. We'll just, unless you've got them.
I think we actually specifically removed underground.
Okay, because
From
it
this
gets
map?
kind of, yeah, it gets kind of busy. So,
Yeah.
okay, well, maybe just go into an overhead area and we'll just kind of show a little bit more detail on the distribution side of things with overhead, knowing that we have the underground there as well. So, yeah, so you could see all the overhead line routes there. Okay, that probably concludes the demo. We just wanted to get a feel. Kevin or Mohan, unless there's something else, or Jeff, that you think we could show on the maps of interest while we have it up.
I think I'm
I don't.
good.
Go ahead.
Sorry. So I was just saying, no, I think I'm good.
Okay.
I was going to say, Mike, I think that was a good representation of what we wanted to show as far as our assets
Okay.
and infrastructure.
Okay. Okay, well, so that kind of concludes the demo. And back on the last section on the talking points that we established, excuse me, that I had on the screen earlier. Our recommendations is you have Jeff and my email and you have OSIT's contact information. Probably one of the first things that we would have to do is open up a non-disclosure and NDA with you. And then we could start sharing information. And Jeff has the NDAs that are recommended by ND Energy. It's our standard non-disclosure agreement, and that's probably what we would use going forward. The less modifications to it, the quicker it could get signed and approved. And then the next step that we would recommend is for you to have specific routes in mind that you're interested in deploying these fibers to, because everything has to be route specific. So it's too difficult for us to give you all of our maps because we're all over the state and it's pretty voluminous. And so what we would ask for is that if you have a specific route or a specific area that you wanted to deploy the fiber, have those specifically sort of identified. And then what we could do is then overlay our facilities where you want to go and see if we have facilities or see if we have facilities that are nearby. And then from there, we could determine the steps to move forward. If it's existing facilities, we would have you go through our joint use department. If it's new facilities, we would work with you individually on the details for those route specific type arrangements under a dark fiber type of an agreement. So Britta, that kind of concludes my presentation. I think we could just leave things open now. Maybe Jeff and myself could flag any questions that folks may have.
It looks like we have one question. Andrew, I believe, has got his hands up.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. At the very beginning, just because the
Andrew, we lost you.
is the questions the normal, like the RFP questionnaire, or do we give the questions to you guys in specific?
Joe, do you want to handle that, or Jeff? Joe, you're on mute.
Hey, Andrew, for NV Energy specific questions about routes, as Mike just explained, you should go directly to NV Energy, and we're going to post the white paper on the OSIT website at the RFP site. So you can get Mike's contact information. OSIT does not need to be involved in the specific route discussions that you have with NV Energy if you are talking about joint use or fiber leasing or anything like that. The OSIT website, the high speed Nevada at nv.gov.nv or .gov.nv. I don't know what the RFP question and answer site is more for general questions about the RFP and for clarification. So NV Energy issues, in terms of specific routes of NV Energy use, contact NV Energy directly. And if, again, if you want to get into maps, you've got to sign their non-disclosure confidentiality agreement. For general questions about the RFP, use the RFP email, for those, and we'll get Q&A out.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the main purpose of today was to make sure that you all knew as providers that NV Energy was open and enthusiastic about potentially partnering to help your response to the RFP.
I've got a question from Eric Lloyd. Eric, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, thank you. I guess my question is, are there any specific dates for trying to view the map you guys just displayed or getting any of the non-disclosure agreements in kind of before a certain timeline?
Hey, I could take a stab at the non-disclosure agreements. If you're good with our template, Eric, then I can sign those and turn them back around right away, and that would open up an opportunity to view the maps. So if you want to send me a note to my email, and I think it should be on those talking points. If not, we'll make sure you guys get a copy of it, and we can turn those around pretty quick. And then I think it would be Mike's. Mike, do you have? I know we have to be somewhat vigilant of your time, but thoughts on when or by when you'd like to be able to get these done?
Yeah, we could meet as soon as the NDA's signed. But again, you've got to have specifics. If it's a blind area, we can go back to the map and make a demo, but the more specific route and detail that you have on where you want to run these fibers, the quicker and the easier it will be for everyone to quickly determine if there's so I don't have any timeline. We'll take them as the NDAs are signed, and we'll meet with you. And Mohan and Kevin will probably need yours there as well.
Eric, the only other response I would have, and this is Joe, is that, the RFP responses are due December 19th. So you guys as providers need to back out the timeline of when you need to understand if you're interested in exploring the use of NV Energy assets. You've got to back out from that December 19th timeline to figure out when you need the information to pull your proposal together.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, guys.
I see a question from Brandon Fuller.
Hey, Joe, this is Brandon. So how does OSIT and NV Energy view the future assets of NV Energy? And by that, I mean, it's going to be a considerable amount of time to construct from Battle Mountain to Ely, obviously. And if the plan is to utilize those fiber assets, I believe that would probably extend past the 34 months that is stated that this wants to be done before the 1st of January 2027. Have you guys thought about how this would be handled? I would not like to submit an application that would be rejected because our fiber wouldn't make it on time, because my concern.
Brandon, I think that goes back to exploring with NV Energy in detail the deployment timelines for fiber. And Mike pointed out that they're also interested, the partnership could work in reverse, right? Where you deploy something that they need, and there's an arrangement made on that type of need. So you deploy it on your timeline. It may speed up their timeline, but there's a use for NV Energy on an attractive route for them. So I think it could work both ways, and you have to get route specific to answer those questions. Mike, let me know if I said anything there that you disagree with.
And Mike, I'll also say, you were kind of breaking up there, so you may want to turn off your video, and that might help with the sound.
Connection
And
here. Okay. Yeah, no, that's correct, Joe. The more route specific, we can get into the details of those routes, when the facilities, if they're existing or if they're planned. We do a 10-year planning here at the company. So our facilities are mapped out 10 years into the future. So we have that information available.
I saw Sean Duff had a question.
Yes, actually I did. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Awesome. Along this same line of discussion, would this be kind of the same procedure in working with NDOT? I know this is NV Energy specific meeting, but just curious.
Yeah, Sean, if there is direct interface with NDOT needed, again, we haven't done a webinar with them because they're basically a partner in the RFP, but you can contact them directly with route specific information. Both NV Energy and NDOT know that if you have specific questions about the RFP, that they're going to direct you back to us. So your contact with NDOT would be around rights of way, building in the rights of way, where there's potential partnerships with NDOT where they might find a route attractive, things like that. If you venture off into RFP questions, they're going to send you right back to us.
Understood. Thank you. I am muted. Thank you. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Appreciate
You're good. Any other questions? All right. Seeing none, thanks everyone. We hope you found this valuable.
Thank you again for your
Thank you.
time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.